Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, we're going to talk about savings for college and retirement, but first, the debate over the consolidation plans for the 14 publicly owned universities continues. As they say, let's get to it.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
All right, we're going to chat about the consolidation plans that are underway for the 14 publicly owned universities these universities in some cases are critically important to their communities. And there's a whole variety of aspects to it. And joining me to chat about that is Jamie Martin. She's the president of the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties. And I want to point out that I held her position decades ago. I was a graduate of Millersville University, a professor there for many decades, and I'm back there now as I speak to you. And so when you get these potentials for conflict, they need to be pointed out. I like to point them out for obvious reasons. All right, so explain, there's many aspects of this, but explain what the consolidation plan as proposed by the Chancellor of the State System of Higher Education, what does that involve?
All right, so the plan involves the consolidation of 3 universities in the northern part of the Commonwealth, 3 universities in the western part into 2 universities. And so it would be California, Clarion, and Edinburgh in the west, Mansfield, Lock Haven, and Bloomsburg in the north. And the idea would be that each university would have 1 leadership team, 1 accreditation, 1 faculty, 1 program array. But the claim is that they'll maintain all 3 campuses. So the big concern is how many online classes would students have to take, and there are lots of issues we can talk about, but that's the general plan as the Chancellor has outlined it.
Yeah. Well, these universities in many places are key and central to the economy of the regions in which they serve. And make no mistake about it, the debate over the declining student enrollment, the debate over the funding of the publicly owned universities, it all has roots in some ways in the past. For the funding, you've got during the years of Governor Tom Corbett, what did you have? You had cuts in the funding, and the funding hasn't kept up with the demand and with the increases in other state areas of the state's budget.
Right. We haven't recovered, I don't think, from those 19% cuts under the Governor Corbett administration. Governor Wolf has been a friend of education, but as you know, when you're dealing with politics, you've got both sides that have to come to some agreement about what the funding would be for the state system of higher education and other state agencies. So that's going to be critically important, and we'd like to see more advocacy for that kind of funding.
Yeah. Well, from what I can read, the complexity here is that no one is quite sure what it means when you consolidate 3 universities into 1. What does it mean for the students? What does it mean for the faculty? And importantly, what does it mean for the curriculum?
All of those questions haven't been answered. So we had a 439-page plan that was introduced in April. We were hoping to see answers to those questions. So exactly what departments or what disciplines would remain? Where would they be located? What is the curriculum going to look like? And the big part, we had those public comment sessions that went on. One of the big concerns was, how does this impact our students? They're coming out of a pandemic when they were almost all taking online or distance ed courses. They don't want to be in that kind of a form again.
Yeah, I want to talk about what you heard during the public hearings that were held. But the other thing is, there was a lengthy piece in the Philadelphia Inquirer this past week, and it was a student who indicated that she might leave, I think it was Lock Haven University, she might leave the university because she doesn't know what it means. And so you have the possibility that instead of the consolidation strengthening the schools, it weakens them in terms of their enrollment. The potential is there for that. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. And in fact, they did a survey of the students in that northern tier, so Bloomsburg, Mansfield, and Lock Haven. And the first question they asked was, if you could attend a university where there's a greater program array, but you had to take some of your classes online, would you be less likely to attend, it wouldn't matter, or more likely to attend? 60% of the students said they would be less likely to attend that university.
Yeah.
That should be alarming as they're considering voting on this plan in July, what those students said.
Yeah, we'll skip remote learning. That is very. We had that conversation last week in the public schools, and it same I think holds true for the universities. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look at these public hearings that were held, and what did the people who participated in them say about the consolidation plan, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
All right, I'm chatting with Jamie Martin. She's the president of ABSCUF. We're talking about the university consolidation plan that the chancellor of the state system of higher education and other folks in that organization have come up with. All right, you held a bunch of public hearings, and I thought the findings were very instructive about the concerns that have been expressed, not just by the people who testified, but many other folks about what the consolidation means.
Right. So there were 4 public hearings that the state system held earlier in this month, and then we held 3 additional ones in order to give people more opportunities in case they weren't able to make one of the 4. Some of the comments, and what I would like to emphasize is out of all of the comments that were made, there was one person who spoke in favor of the consolidation. And that individual didn't give a ringing endorsement of it. Yeah. So what we were hearing is the concerns, as I mentioned. What does this mean for our students? What exactly are we going to be looking at in terms of the program array, the curriculum? There are concerns about accreditation. So accredited programs, will they maintain their accreditation? Will they have to go back through an accrediting process? Questions about the NCAA and the decision they'll make about sports or athletic teams on the 6th.
The sports at the universities, yeah.
So our coaches are concerned. Their student athletes are concerned. They're having some trouble with recruitment because of the uncertainty with that. And then, as I said, we won't go into all the remote learning, but exactly what will that look like for those students? And so I think the overarching theme in all of that was we need to pump the brakes. We need to slow down a little bit. Why are we rushing to a vote in July when there are so many outstanding questions that need to be answered? What
does the chancellor say about that, the question of the rapidity with which they're moving to do the consolidation? Has he said anything about it?
I honestly, I don't think he's really addressed that. It's just that we have to vote on this in July. And, you know, the other major point from those some of those sessions that people were making was the lack of cost savings. You know, so we just talked a moment ago about funding for higher ed. This plan doesn't save money. It's estimated to cost about $30 million over 5 years and save 18. So when you're looking at that kind of a cost differential, we don't understand if it's not saving money. Yeah. And there are all of these questions. Why are we rushing in a 9-month period during a pandemic?
And it does look like since the Biden's rescue plan is in effect and other programs aimed at deal with the fallout from the pandemic, that the public institutions are going to receive additional monies. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is that likely to make up for the lack of funding that the state system received over the course of some time?
You know, that's still unclear. It certainly should help with any kind of losses to the universities because of COVID, but we don't even understand that yet. Yeah. And so even that part is unclear. So there have been some letters from legislators asking for anywhere from a 1-year to a 2-year delay. We would at least like to see a delay until students are back on campus in the fall, and go do town halls and find out from them what they know or what questions they have.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. I want to thank you for coming on, and we'll continue to follow this issue. I mean, it affects not just thousands, but potentially hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians, if not into the millions, when you given the impact that these universities have. All right, coming up, we have Pennsylvania State Treasurer Stacy Garrity will join me, and we're going to talk about, savings, retirement, and a whole bunch of other important subjects, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Cross-State Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Well, joining me is the Treasurer of the State of Pennsylvania, Stacy Garrity. Listen to this. She's Treasurer of the Commonwealth. She's also been in business, and she's a retired U.S. Army Reserve Colonel. I'm reading her biography here, and she won decorations for her service in the battlefields of Iraq. You've been around, haven't you?
I have. And Terry, thanks for having me on your show. It's great to be
anytime. All right, let's get to the big issues. There's a program, a retirement savings program called Keystone Saves. Why should the folks out there watching us, listening to us, care about that program? What's that program about?
Okay, I'll tell you what the program's about. So we have about 2 million Pennsylvanians that don't work for anybody that offers any kind of retirement plan. And what that means is they don't have enough money for retirement, they don't have any emergency savings, and what that's going to do is cost the Commonwealth $14.5 billion between now and the next 9 years in additional state social services and reduced tax collections of $1.4 billion because of reduced consumer spending. So what Keystone Saves does is the employer just offers a payroll deduction. It's managed by Treasury, just like our 529 college and career savings plan. So with a private investment manager, so say like a BNY Mellon or a Vanguard or something like that. And what we're going to be able to do is help our Pennsylvanians be able to save, and being able to save will make them less reliant on government programs when they do retire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's talk about another issue, and that's unclaimed property. And that includes, of all things, military medals. When we've talked about this in the past with some of your predecessors, they never mentioned including military medals. We'll get to that. But
yes.
What's unclaimed property?
Okay, so first of all, we have about almost $4 billion, that's with a B, dollars of unclaimed property in the state of Pennsylvania. So it could be something as easy as, a savings account that went dormant. It could be an abandoned safe deposit box that has tangible things like coins or baseball cards. It could be like an old stock dividend check, so things like that.
Oh, my. And so I guess the question here is, do we have an understanding of, first of all, the complexity of it, and second, the volume of it? I mean, when you mention the B word, billions, I mean, it's amazing.
It is. So to put it into perspective, so 1 out of 10 Pennsylvanians have unclaimed property. And the average
Say that again.
1 out of 10.
Oh, my gosh.
So I guarantee you that all your listeners out there, either they have unclaimed property or they know somebody that does, either a family member or a friend.
Yeah.
Okay, and the average claim is about $2,000, and that's a lot of money for some families, that have been really hurt during the pandemic.
Yeah. Now, is the unclaimed property situation growing or declining?
It's
or is
kind
it staying the same?
Well, it's kind of grown during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But we're working really hard to return more. So yeah, it's our vault. So I do want to mention this. So our vault was built in 1939, and it's about 400 tons of steel, and just the front door alone is 60 tons, Terry.
Oh my gosh.
So if anybody's ever seen the vault in Ocean's 11, our vault is way more impressive.
Well, the one thing you brought up that when we've had previous treasurers on, that I didn't understand was military declaration.
Yes.
You got to comment about that.
Yes. So we have just under 700 military decorations in our vault. So, of course, we get those largely from abandoned safe deposit boxes.
Oh, sure.
Right. So right now we have 13 Purple Hearts, 3 Bronze Stars. We have meritorious service medals, all kinds of campaign medals, dog tags.
Yeah.
And so, of course, you can't put a price tag on military
And you would
decorations.
think that family members would want these, and in some cases there isn't any family members, right?
Well, we're working hard to locate them. I mean, there has to be some sort of family member, right? So we've returned 370 since we started the program, and we just returned another 72 to 11 service members or their families. And so, of course, getting those decorations returned to their families, you know, or the service members, very near and dear to my heart, being a veteran myself.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine. All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about college and career savings plans. It has the number PA 529. Back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine.
All right, I'm chatting with Stacy Garrity. She's the Pennsylvania Treasurer. In fact, she's the 78th Treasurer. I found that out because she put that in a note to me. 78 state treasurers so far. All right, there's a program called the 529 program, and it deals with assistance for college. I think I got that right, colleges and universities. Explain what the 529 program is. Why is it important? Go ahead.
Okay. Before we do that, can I just mention the Dauphin County unclaimed property?
Of course.
Because it's really it's a huge
Unclaimed
number.
property, Dauphin County.
Yes, Dauphin County. So $49.3 million of unclaimed property, Dauphin County. So this is how you check, patreasury.gov/unclaimed property. Just type your name in.
Oh, my gosh. We're sitting in Dauphin County right now.
I know, that's why I mentioned Dauphin
I figured
County.
you did. But the program airs, you know, obviously on
I know.
WGAL and around the state. All right. So get into 529. What is it?
Yes. So thanks, Terry, for bringing that up. So the 529 is College and Career Savings Program. Okay, and it's a way for families to save for college or for, you know, different skilled labor, so apprenticeships, and we like to push the skilled labor aspect right now because traveling along the state, I mean, every county, when you say, what do you need, they need skilled labor. So you can save $15,000 per year per adult, so max $30,000, assuming you have 2 kids. And it's a great way to make education affordable because we know that Pennsylvania has a very, you know, high student debt cost.
Must you be in a 4-year program?
No, you don't have to be in a 4-year. It can be a trade, a technical program.
Oh. Oh, no, that's really important. Is that program growing?
It is growing. So we have, 260,000 accounts right now.
Oh, my.
So that's quite amazing.
Yeah.
And you would think that during the pandemic, maybe things would have slowed down, but they didn't. People kept opening up accounts and contributing to them. And it's doing very well financially. So it's 135% reserved for. So that's fantastic.
So families can start saving with this plan at what point?
Oh, right when their child is born.
Oh, right when the child is born.
Yeah, and that's when they should sign up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you got about 17, 18, 19 years, something in that to save the money.
That's right. And I should mention Keystone Scholars because it's a new program. So for babies born, they automatically have $100 sitting in an account. All they have to do is go out and claim it.
Oh, my gosh. Well, before I let you go, I have to talk about, you have to explain something that I don't understand. That's many things, by the way. It's called Ledger 5. That does sound, that's mysterious.
The mysterious Ledger 5.
Yeah.
Yes. This is very timely because we're just about ready to add a tab on our transparency portal called Ledger 5. So what Ledger 5 is, that's where money goes through that we spend that wasn't appropriated. So it's usually DHS. So money that we ever spend, okay, so it hasn't been appropriated, goes through this Ledger 5. And it's largely things like that relate to health and safety. So it could be, things that we really need to pay for, like nursing homes or, police or corrections items. And so people are always confused, like, how do you spend money that wasn't appropriated? So for those reasons, sometimes you have to. So what we're going to do is we want to start shining a bright, shiny light on it. And so people will be able to go right onto the transparency portal and see exactly what we're spending that wasn't appropriated.
So why does it matter?
Why it matters is because at the end of the year, what they do is they basically put together a supplemental appropriation. So last year, I believe the number was $900 million. That is a lot of money, and wouldn't that money have been nice to, to have in a pandemic, because you never know when you're going to have a crisis and where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important, because we should either just spend what's budgeted or we need to budget appropriately.
All right, you obviously have some other priorities. What are they, and why do they matter?
Yes, so another priority would be rural outreach.
Rural outreach.
Yes, because 48 out of 67 of our counties are rural. Now, I don't know if you know where I come from, but it's Bradford County, where I like to joke that we have more cows than people, so it doesn't get a lot more rural than that.
Yeah.
And so, so what we'd like to do is, really go out to all four corners of the Commonwealth and make sure we're pushing all of these great programs, like the 529 plan, like
Right.
Keystone Saves, like ABLE, helping people with
are they
disabilities.
being implemented properly? Is that what you aim for?
Well, we want to have a better representation across, who we employ at Treasury. Right now they work largely out of Dauphin County or the Southeast.
Sure.
So we would like to have, employ more in our rural areas as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do you have any responsibility to inform other officials about the fiscal status of the Commonwealth?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So that's also out on our transparency portal. Excuse me. So we track the general fund, and I will tell you something interesting that we're going to do. So we just got that big slug of federal dollars, $7.3 billion. And so we're going to track that separately from our state dollars, so that people can see when you're spending, how much is coming from those federal dollars versus, our general fund state dollars.
Yeah, I mean, these are important subjects that a lot of folks aren't aware of. I follow this, and I'm not even aware of many of it. So your job is to make sure people are aware of it. That's another aspect.
Well, yes, that is my biggest job, is to be the fiscal watchdog for the Commonwealth.
There you go. All right, well, look, I want to thank you for coming in. If you get breaking news, you give us a call.
I will.
All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And as always, stay well.